Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Alton West. Today I will have guests on from the Troup County School System and a guest on from the Troup County government. So stay tuned for those interviews coming up in just a moment.
Nobody wants to be stopped by a law enforcement officer.
Everyone wants to feel safe.
So we've trained our officers to first listen and then explain.
We ask if you have contact with one of our officers, you listen, give him an opportunity to explain, comply with his requests, and if there's a problem, contact us so that we can investigate your complaint.
Listen, explain, comply, then complain.
Our safety and yours matters.
Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I have the pleasure of sitting down with the Public Relations Director from the Troup County School System, Yolanda Stevens. Yolanda, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Always good to be here.
It is always good to be here on the show with you, Yolanda, because you just bring again that energy, that joy to the station that we definitely appreciate.
Thank you.
Well, we're here today to talk a little bit about the Troup County School System, and I'm probably going to get this wrong, but you correct me. 4 years now?
3.5.
3.5.
Yes.
Okay, all right. 3.5. I was not too far off. Just kind of talk a little bit about your journey thus far with the Troup County School System.
Well, when I started with Troup County School System in the PR role, it was putting out fires. And since then, we have evolved to helping people tell the story of what Troup County School System does, what happens in the classroom, how our employees are, and presenting that positive feel. So that's where we're moving into now, from 3.5 years ago to now. So quite a journey then. Huh? Yes, it is.
Quite a journey. Now, and today, you know, I saw in the paper that you guys have a brand new logo and things of that nature.
Yes.
And I want to get in and start talking about, you know, what it is that you all are doing. Talk a little bit about the brand, if you don't mind, for me.
Well, for Troup County School System, when we started the branding process, we knew that it was more than just a logo, because some people came and said, oh, you need a new logo. We realized it was more than just a logo. It's more about the culture and the feel that we have within the school system with our employees, with our students, families, business partners. And so we wanted to create a combined message and a visual feel that would represent what Troup County School System is, the culture that we have. Because as we talked before, it's different than what it was 2 and 3 decades ago. And when in Troup County and the surrounding area, where 3 school systems combined to become the one Troup County School System. And I want to give you a few examples of how it looks a little bit different than it did a few decades ago. Number one, there's student-centered learning. We ask students to think deeper. We don't want to give them the answers. We want them to draw their own conclusions and help them along through that way, so they're thinking deeper and having those critical thinking skills. Number 2 is technology. Cell phones aren't going away. We feel like they're here to stay. So you don't see as many books in classrooms, and we use technology to our advantage. You may hear a teacher say, go out and Google Albert Einstein to find out more information about him. And then they work on the fact of how was the light bulb created, instead of talking about who Albert Einstein was, because they're able to Google that. Number 3 is what classrooms look like. In some classrooms, the furniture is a little bit different. You don't see the desks and the little chairs. It's bright, it's colorful, the walls are colorful. Some rooms, they have couches where students can have room for reading, because it's like they're at home and they're in a more opening and welcoming environment. In the lunchrooms, they're not lunchrooms with the oblong tables. If you go to Troup High or Gardner-Newman Middle School, you'll see booths that are in the lunchrooms or cafeterias, cafes as we like to call them. And then at Callaway High, they have the high tables. So they're sitting up at high tables like this, and they also have the ports that are along the walls. So if somebody wanted to plug up their technology and use it in the next classroom, they'll be able to do that. So it looks different. And we wanted to bring that synergy and that energy and show through the visual identity and our brand message what we are now and where we look to go in the future.
And you know, you're talking about the changes, because you know, you and I were talking about before we came home, how things have changed from when I was in school, even from, like you say, from when you were in school. You know, we talking about incorporating technology into the learning environment. And I was talking, you mentioned cell phones. I can remember back in my day, you know, you had a telephone that was either on the wall or on the coffee table. The teacher called your parents, call you didn't want to happen, and your parents called the teachers back the next day or whatever. And now today, you know, everybody's got a cell phone. They got the latest and greatest. So it's awesome that you all are integrating the technology in with the learning environment today. And the brand kind of goes back and relates to that, I think, in this hand. And what are some of the goals, as you kind of mentioned those 3 points there, are the other goals? And I know we were talking before we came on, talking about the economics side of it as well. Speak to that if you don't mind.
Okay, well, our main goal under the branding, I'll speak to it as it concerns with branding. We want to engage all of our publics in the education process. Now, when I say publics, I mean students, parents, employees, business partners, the community at large, and then also those individuals who deal with economic development. We want to engage them in the process so they'll have the positive stories and share that information in their sphere of influence. We have 3 top priorities. Number 1 is increasing literacy rates. That's important for Troup County School System. So everything that we do, we want to have a hand in that. Number 2 is we want to provide a rigorous and relevant learning environment. Again, going back to the critical thinking skills and not just giving the answer. And number 3 is creating a culture of success. What does that look like? That could be soft skills, that could be attendance, that could be what would make that person successful in life, because we have all students in Troup County School System, and so success looks different for each student. And branding falls up under the priority of creating a culture of success. Ultimately, we want to take our combined message and the visual identity, which is the logo, our vision statement, and our tagline, and create positive synergy so our publics will be able to tell the story of Troup County School System. We're creating brochures, we have online, we have our website that looks different, we have Facebook, our social media. So we want to provide that information to our publics, meaning our employees, our students, community members, because everyone tells the story.
That's right.
We're engaged, and then when you think about it, when we talk about economic development and education go hand in hand. They're like cousins, if you want to think about it that way. They're first cousins. And so as our students graduate Troup County School System, we want to be able to provide them with successful opportunities that they can step into, whether it be career or whether it be future educational goals. So they go hand in hand, and we want to be able to work together with that, and being able to tell the positive story so businesses can come to Troup County School System or come to Troup County and tell the positive stories of what we have to offer in the school system is important. It is vital to economic development and also for our students and employees.
Absolutely. You know, now I'm hoping that we can put up you guys' new logo, it's TCSS, and the variations of the colors. And then there's a line underneath that says, and you were telling me that in the graphic design of that has a meaning as well. Just speak about that if you don't mind.
Well, we have bright, fresh colors, and those colors represent the diversity that we have throughout the system. We have students that speak many different languages, and we have students who are from Troup County, and then we have students who come from other places into Troup County. We have employees with a variety of backgrounds, and we wanted to show that diversity through the colors. We also have a line on the bottom that shows forward movement, because we are moving forward. We're going into the future. It's 21st century. And then up under that line, it shows our tagline, your future starts today. And in looking at your future starts today, it can be any day. You know, yesterday, if you didn't do as well on a test, or if you didn't plan that lesson as well as you wanted to, you can go back and let's start today and create that success.
Absolutely. And you know, and we're talking about the brand and the logo and everything. And I think you guys had some assistance from the students, the Troup County School System students.
Our students are fabulous. Hands down, they are fabulous. After we had our focus groups, we started looking at what can we do to create a logo, and taking some words from a word bank after our focus groups. And we went to our high schools, we went to the graphic design classes, the art classes, and other classes, and said, we're creating a new logo, and we just put it out there. We gave them some parameters, and we had students who came back with different logos, and they actually concepted the logo. They concepted the tagline. We wanted them to have a hand in it so they feel connected to it as well. So our logo was actually concepted by our students, and we then worked with the graphic designer to make it in its present form.
Okay, well, very good. Now, talk about a little bit about the funding of this, if you don't mind, for us, Yolanda.
Well, we have some great resources, meaning we have 12,000 students, and we have over 3,000 employees, and we have over 230 business partners who really helped. And when we asked for help, they reached out and said, we can provide this or we can provide that. And so we used the resources that we had on hand. Now, when we went with the graphic designer, we wanted someone outside of the organization to really take a look at the look and feel of who we are from the perspective of someone who has never touched Troup County School System. And that was the purpose. It's kind of like if you have company over, you don't notice the hole in the screen door, but when they're coming in, they notice. So we wanted to have that some fresh eyes on it, and that's how that happened. So we ended up spending about $2,000 with that graphic designer, and that was it. That was it. So we really used the resources around us, and we're able to be fiscally responsible with taxpayers' money.
Absolutely, that's always good, and I'm sure the taxpayers appreciate that tremendously.
Yes.
Now, and you do have some other brochures here that we're looking at. Our vision, the Troup County School System. We're providing, I guess that's your tagline, and then you got our vision, our goals, and our beliefs. And when will we start seeing this unveiled in the community so that it can be more acquainted with this?
Well, we're starting to see it unveiled now. If you go on our social sites, if you go on Facebook, which is under Troup County School System, if you go on Facebook or if you go to troup.org, we've already placed the logo on those sites. Anything that you see digitally, you'll begin to see. And then as we begin to incorporate those things that are in print, you'll start to see those as well. We also have the name tags that you'll begin to see in the summer. We're having those things printed, the business cards printed. So it's a process. You'll begin to see it over the next 3 to 4 months fully implemented.
Well, very good. And I know that everybody's excited about it and can go out to their, if you don't mind, give them your website where they can get it. And I'm sure that all the parents already know that, but for some of us that don't have kids in school anymore, if you don't mind, go ahead and give it out. We're on troup.org, www.troup.org, and there you can find all the schools, you can find information, you can find branding, you can find the logos. If you're a business and you work with Troup County School System a lot, you can go on there, you can find the logos, and you can find those collateral materials that tell you about Troup County School System, what's in our system, what classrooms look like, photos that represent us, and those things that can really help tell who we are, and they can share it in their sphere of influence. Well, very good. And Yolanda, I know that as the kids are getting ready, and I know that the administrators are getting ready for the end of school days here, but it doesn't necessarily end there for you all, because you guys will be continuing to work on this, and you know, and we wish you all the very success in increasing those things, increasing your literacy, rigorous and learning environment, and the success for every student, because I know that that is so vitally important. As we didn't get an opportunity to talk about a little bit, you know, sometimes I hear a lot of times those soft skills. Speak to that real quickly, if you don't mind, as it relates to economic development and those employers.
When we talk about soft skills, let me give you an example. A student, we ask them to come to school on time. We ask them to be engaged in learning. What we hear from the employers is we need employees who will show up to work on time. We need employees to be off of their phone and to be in the environment that they're in. If they practice right now when they're in school, and I say practice very lightly, but if they create those skills while they're in school right now, then they'll be better prepared for the workforce. They'll be successful in what they do. And that's one thing, the top word that we heard people in focus group says, we want them to be successful. So when we talk about soft skills, practicing them now, coming to school on time, working in a team environment. With the furniture, it's more circular, and the lunchrooms, it's more circular cafes. It's circular. To create that team environment and that cooperative spirit. So those are the soft skills that we're talking about. And also dressing for success.
Absolutely. Always a lot of great information. Our time gets away from us every time, Yolanda. And I do thank you for coming on and sharing the new branding and logo for the Troup County School System, and we look forward to it in the years to come.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more City Week in just a moment.
I'm LaGrange Mayor Jim Thornton.
And I'm Patrick Cruz, Chairman of the Troup County Board of Commissioners, and we've got a question for you.
Have you ever littered?
No. Sometimes. I see my dad litter. It's something what you just throw on the floor, and you just throw things on the floor and when you don't need to. I just don't like putting it in the trash can sometimes, but sometimes I do put them in the trash can. Don't do that. Just a piece of trash on our yard, and I don't like people that litter. He just threw the gun out the window. It's just beautiful. If you are littering people, stop littering right now. Don't litter. And you're a grown-up, you should know that. Keep Troop beautiful.
Littering in Troup County is not a small problem. It's a big one, and we need everyone to do their part.
The City of LaGrange, along with Troup County and the cities of Hogansville and West Point, want to clean up our community.
So please don't trash Troup.
Let's pick it up. Working together, we can keep Troup County a beautiful place to live.
Welcome back, City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Now I am being joined by the Assistant County Manager, Eric Mosley. Eric, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Glad for having me on here. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you, and I also want to just not only say welcome to the show, but welcome to the City of LaGrange.
Oh, thank you.
Well,
we love being here.
Well, Eric, tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind.
Sure. I have kind of a really weird background. I actually I graduated from Tacoma Falls College, which is a small Christian-based college up in Northeast Georgia.
Okay.
And just really loved it there. My plan was to follow my mother's footsteps and to be a school teacher, and I was. And I taught school for about 3 years, and just got a little burnt out on all, because when you're a teacher, it's not, you don't just leave it at work. You have you have to go home with it. So you've got lesson plans and grading papers and that kind of thing. And so I really just got a little burnt out very quickly.
Okay.
And I always loved natural resources and being outside. I love camping and backpacking, and so I took a job actually working for the Georgia Forestry Commission.
Okay.
And worked in the fire and forest management for many years. Sort of managed budgets, managed grants for them. The latter part of my career, I moved into being basically the statewide public information officer, and I was over their fire planning and mitigation activities. So I had employees all over the place, and so I loved it. I enjoyed it. We had a great place. My wife and I actually lived on a 4,000 acre wildlife management area, which was amazing in Milledgeville.
Okay.
And so as part of my duties, I often worked with local governments, and one of the local governments I worked with was Spalding County. I worked with them quite a bit.
Okay.
And soon, about 4 years ago, I got a call from the county manager, and he said, I've got a job that I think you might be interested in. And I said, if it doesn't involve green pants, a tan shirt, four-wheel drive pickup truck, I don't want it.
I'm not interested. Right?
Yeah, and so I did that so he kept on and on and on. He said, hey, trade in your four-wheel drive pickup truck for a suit and tie and come work for me. And finally he made it, the offer too better than I could afford. And so I took him up on it, and I took a job working for the county manager as the assistant county manager of public safety in Spalding County, and did that for about 3 years. Loved it. Really kind of felt like, man, I think I have finally found my calling after 17 years of working in the Forest Service, working outside. And I really enjoyed it. And, I got to spend a lot of time with my family. I used to travel a tremendous amount. And now I'm home every night, which is awesome. And I have decent hours. It's been great. And so I made the transition over to Troup County about 4 or 5 months ago, and it's been awesome. I love it here. My family is just really embracing this community, so we're excited to be here and are looking forward to the future.
Well, very good. And you've been here about 5 months now as the assistant county manager there. And when I first met you, I think we was at a meeting about the litter.
Yeah, my favorite topic.
That's right, clean up the litter. And as you know, a couple of weeks ago, the City of LaGrange shut down to clean up.
That's right.
And I know that the county manager, Todd Tentler, went out with our mayor and some other officials to do a cleanup. And definitely that's one of the things that I think is near and dear to all of our hearts, or should be, to clean up our city, because there's a lot of things coming down the pipe and on the rising that we want our visitors that will come here to say, hey, I want to go back to
Right.
LaGrange and perhaps not only go back, but to come back and live.
Yeah.
Talk about your role as the assistant county manager, if you don't mind.
Sure. So over the course of the past four or 5 months, the current county manager, Todd Tentler, he has plans to retire. And so he has been mentoring me and giving me more and more responsibilities.
Okay.
Started off as over 911 in the fire department, which were obviously very critical roles, but slowly has been immersing me in more and more and more and giving me more opportunities to lead. And so that's been a great thing for me. This year, for the first time, I had a chance to really manage the budget on my own. And so he's been in the background, kind of watching, shadowing, giving me advice here and there. But I have myself and Buddy Cashwell, the CFO for the county. We have been working together preparing the budget, and so we actually presented the budget for the first time to the county commissioners yesterday.
Very good.
And we have a balanced budget. We're not having to raise the millage rate. We're actually have a fund balance. We're really excited. I am a true fiscal conservative, and I'm the kind of guy that I manage the county's budget like I would manage my own checkbook, and I think that's important.
Absolutely.
So it's been an exciting endeavor, and every day I learn more and more and more, and I get a chance to interact with our commissioners who are just amazing. I love working with them. They're great leaders for our community, and every day I'm just excited to be able to be here and do what I do.
Absolutely. You know, we were talking before we came on, and we were talking about the stability and also the commitment to leadership. A couple of things you said that really drew you to this community outside of the beauty of it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Talk about that. Why do you think those are some things that are important to you? Because you not only are you the assistant county manager today, but by the end of this year, you will be stepping into a newer role.
That's right.
You will be taking over that role. So talk about the stability.
So, obviously in a lot of communities, the city manager, county managers turn over rapidly. And, I really looked at this community and it looked at the past, and honestly, it was amazing to see that the managers stayed for such a long period of time. And I think that really showcases the great leadership in the background. So those commissioners who have a real commitment to their citizens. And I think having that stability with the leadership really provides, a really good safety sense for our citizens to know that, hey, someone's going to be at the wheel driving the ship every day and day in, day out, and I'm not have to worry about it. I pay my taxes, and I get to sit back and enjoy life, and I think that's what's really great. And the other part of it is that I have a family at home as well. I've got my wife Joy and my son Scout, who's 10, my son Nash, who's 7. We have relocated from Griffin to Troup County. And my wife told me, she said, "We're not moving again." We've moved. We lived in North Augusta, South Carolina, Martinez, Georgia, Milledgeville, Griffin, and now Troup County. She said, "There's no more space in Georgia to go. You have to go to Alabama if you go any further." I said, "So we're going to be here, and we're excited to be here for a long time. We love this community. We are just so excited about what's happening." And the future is just immense.
Absolutely. And you're talking about, like I say, LaGrange, I'm born and raised here, traveled out, lived in other communities, but gravitated back to LaGrange. And you're absolutely right. I think we have so much to offer here. We can't start, mentioning the amenities. The lake is the first that comes to mind. And we're going to talk about the job opportunities here in a moment. But I want to go back to talking about the change. And I know that I just had Yolanda on talking about the new brand for the Troup County school system.
Right.
And I know that in the paper the other day was an unveiling about the new brand for Troup County.
Right.
Speak about that. I know that we want to not talk too much about it. But if you don't mind.
So we don't want to completely unveil it yet, but we just felt like we needed a new image, I'm gonna say like a newer brand or just a new look of our community, and so I took actually some advice actually from Paige and then Rob Goldstein, who used a company, and we worked with them and have come up with what we think is a great new design that'll really showcase who we are in a modern way. I think that's the key, is that we're moving forward as a community. And the government needs to move along with the citizenship, and so I think that's really important. We've also going to be unveiling a new tagline as well, and I will share that because I think that's really exciting, because I think that's part of what really is what we're trying to push in this community. And the tagline is going to be "Start Here." And the idea there is to try to encourage new businesses and also people, the citizens, don't start in Atlanta. Don't start in Columbus. Start here in Troup County.
Okay.
This is where we want you to start your new life. And I think that's exciting to know.
Absolutely. You know, talking about starting here, and I'm going to kind of go now and talking about some of the things that have already started here and those things that will come down. And even though a lot of may be, you know, too indicative to the City of LaGrange, but it's still Troup County as well.
Right.
Talk about, if you don't mind, the SPLOST that just passed recently here. The citizen came out, and I think it was passed by an overwhelming majority.
Which is unheard of, which is great.
Talk about that, if you don't mind, for
Yeah, so SPLOST passed, and as many know that we really don't start receiving the money until January of 2019. And so one of the things that the commissioners felt was important is that we were going to bond some of the money so we could have some money up front so that we could begin to make an impact. Primarily, that impact will be seen in recreation, which is extremely important in this community, and public safety. And so over the course, actually beginning about May 30th, when we actually had the money in hand, we will begin working on this project. Some of the things are pretty critical to our infrastructure. One of them is we're going to actually be building a new fire administrative building on Hamilton Road. And we're really excited. We're going to be able to utilize an existing building, actually the old Georgia State Patrol office, and we're going to be transitioning that into our new headquarters office for the fire station, providing some training space for our officers. Also, we're looking at relocating the fuel pumps we have now that are really antiquated, that need to be replaced. We're going to be adding those as well. And so again, providing just some of that really kind of behind the scenes infrastructure that we need to be able to keep us moving forward. We're going to be providing some new vehicles for the sheriff's office. They're out of date, and we need to provide those officers with the best equipment they possibly can have so they can protect the citizens. Recreation, people are already starting to see it. I've seen some of the past shows. The thread is obviously huge.
That's right.
And we're providing some money for that. Some baseball fields, some new lighting, just kind of really trying to jazz up our parks, make them as elite as they are. You know, we know that people move here for recreation and public safety. I think that quality of life is so important for someone moving to a new area, and we want to be able to provide that and help our community move in the future.
Absolutely. Eric, as my time gets away from it, I do want to talk about workforce.
Yeah.
And all of the various things. You know, you got General that's expanding, you got Century that's coming, you got Great Wolf that is opening very soon, that will have employment at 600 plus upward. You know, you got Duracell that's expanding. Talk about the employment opportunities here in our community.
You know, honestly, I think we were joking about it earlier, but if you want a job, you need to come to Troup County. You don't need to go to Atlanta. You don't need to go to Columbus, go to Auburn. We got it here.
Yeah.
You know, we got folks, if you want to be a janitor all the way to the president of the company, we got it. And we got everything in between, which is awesome. Yeah. We really should have a 0% unemployment rate here because we got the jobs.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really exciting. You know, honestly, it really shows the great leadership that's here, and more importantly, I think great cooperation between the city, the county, and the state government here in this local area. We really have got things going on. Scott Malone, I'm sure you've talked to him in the past.
Absolutely.
He is the cheerleader for Troup County.
Absolutely.
You know, Patrick Cruz, our chairman, as well as the other commissioners, they are out there day in and day out cheerleading for this community, and I think that's awesome. And I think the leaders within these businesses see that, and they want to be part of our community. I think that's pretty awesome. We're at a point now where we can actually tell a community, we're okay. We want this business versus this business.
Absolutely.
And a lot of places aren't like that.
Yes,
and I came from a community that was really struggling to attract new businesses. We're beyond that.
Absolutely.
And I think that's wonderful.
Hey, absolutely. And you know, Eric, I want to have you come back on because there's so many great things going on with the county, the city, and both of the agencies working together. I definitely want to have you come back on, and when we get the brand new brand to unveil that, to have you come back on. But again, I'm going to say thank you for joining us today, and welcome to the City of LaGrange.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more City Week in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining City Week this week. My guests have been from the Troup County School System. I had on the Director of Public Relations, Yolanda Stevens, as she talked about the brand that they are unveiling for the school system. So by all means, if you want to learn more about it, go out to the website and give them a call if you have questions. Also, I had on from the Troup County government, I had on the Assistant County Manager, Eric Mosley, as he talked about some of the changes that are coming down the tube with SPLOST. So you can definitely look for changes in your parks and recreation and some other things that he mentioned. And if you have any questions, give him a call. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to talk with you. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you have enjoyed these interviews. And as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.